Hello there, guys, and welcome back to Bright Founders Talk from Temi, an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Today, guys, as you can see, we've got a new guest with us. I'm going to let our guest today introduce himself, just because, as you lot know, I'm awful with pronouncing names, and this is one hell of a name for me to try and pronounce. So, over to you to introduce yourself in today's episode.
Hi, my name is Günter Mühlberger. And I'm coming from Austria, actually from Tyrol, Innsbruck. I'm working there at the University of Innsbruck since many years, more than 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I studied German language and literature, but since more than 20 years, I'm working in the digitization, digital library, and recently in the AI domain.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit of that. So what is your experience recently with working more in the AI domain? Let's go into further with what you're doing with AI.
What we are doing with AI is to read old documents. So to make it machine readable, old documents from mainly all over the world, actually, because for the system we are using, texts are looking all the same, and it can be trained to recognize different alphabets, different scripts, different languages. So in principle, I would say a lot is possible. So with Egyptian hieroglyphs, it has troubles, but with a lot of other alphabets, it's working nicely.
We will definitely go more into this during the program today. But before I do, I want to get to know you a little bit better. I always like to know the speaker we're speaking to a little bit more. So just to get to know you a little bit, tell us, what would you say one fact about you, which not many people know about you, which better describes who you are? So is there like one fact which not many people know? You're obviously this intellectual guy, but what do they not know? Maybe you have some kind of extreme sports or some kind of favorite dining experience or something. Is there anything?
About 15 years ago, I made a course on wood treatment. So I'm actually, during winter time, I'm trying to work as much as possible in the woods, with the motor chain, but also with the axe. And actually, I'm doing the other job on a voluntary basis. I work mainly for a farming association nearby Innsbruck. And and to work in the woods is something very special. Everyone who knows this kind of work understands that it gives you a special feeling actually to work with trees and cut trees and all this.
Now we understand the background a little bit more as well. Tell me, let's go back into what you're doing. Tell me, when did you start working on this experience, and what was the reason as to why you believed you needed to go and start doing this?
Actually, I'm not a technician, as I said. So I came to technology mainly from the user side. So I wanted to solve problems. And many, many years ago, or at the start of my more technological side part of the career, I wanted to solve the problem that OCR, traditional OCR, is able to read old German books. We have a script which is called Fraktur or black letter in English. And at that time, in 1998, usual OCR was not able to read this. And we had a nice collection of books and so on, and started to digitize. At that time, first large digitization projects were initiated each year at the BNF, at the Bibliothèque Nationale de France in Paris and so on. And we were also enthusiastic about the new possibilities of digitizing cultural heritage or old documents. But of course, if you have just an image of a book or of a handwriting of a document, okay, it's an image. But it's clear that you want to have a text, that you want to have editable text. And so this was from the very beginning my personal interest. And so we started with an EU project application and this was successful. So we got some money, and from that point onwards, I always was able to follow this path and to provide some contributions.
Mm-hmm. What has been the biggest change you have seen since those days that you started to now? Obviously, you're saying you're using a lot of AI, which has really skyrocketed really over the last couple of years. What has been the biggest change?
There are two real milestones. The first milestone was really the introduction of the internet. So to get the first email address, to have access to try out the first time Google, to see that everything is connected, that there are so many new possibilities. So this was really the first big milestone I experienced in my life concerning this part. And the second milestone, of course, was about 10 years ago, a bit longer actually, when I was contacted by colleagues from Spain, and they did already at that time some handwritten text recognition based on AI, on hidden Markov models, which is not directly what is today used, but it was clear that there is really something happening. And I always had a good feeling for, is a technology really just a hype, or is there substance? Yeah. And it was clear that the handwritten text recognition, which was out of scope for traditional OCR programs. Yeah. And I was a member of a large European project with 12 million euro funding, and it dealt with, among other things, with OCR and text recognition. But in this early 20, it ran from 2008 to 2012. At that time, traditional OCR, it became clear that there's such large limitations, and that you cannot solve the problem of handwritten text recognition with traditional technology. And then, with the contact with the colleagues from Spain, I realized very soon, okay, there is a new door, and if you open the door, it will provide you really new possibilities.
And that new door was what?
That you are able to train the machine, and that the machine will somehow understand and take benefit from the data you provide. And if the data are homogeneous, if they are reliable, the machine will also produce nice results. And that you need not to go into feature programming and say this and that and heuristics and so on, but that you just tell the machine, okay, here's the handwriting, here's the correct text. Please make a connection between these two, and the more you provide on data, the better the machine becomes.
So that was kind of from 2012 onwards, yes?
Yeah, exactly.
Onwards. What has been the most significant kind of year since 2012 onwards for you, which has kind of been the breakthrough moment, which is helping you right now?
Yeah, it was more or less in 2017. So I have to say from 2013 to end of 2015, there was a first EU project, a research project with the colleagues from Spain. And then I had the chance to apply for another project, a big project. We got 8 million euro. So in this domain, it is a big project. The actual reading of the text was already nice, but the problem was actually to find the text on the document, to find the lines and to represent the lines in a good way, so that the machine can actually take this text and be able to apply the actual HDR, the actual handwritten text recognition technology. Young colleagues from the University of Rostock really found a new way, also applied more or less for the first time AI and machine learning to this problem. and they came up with a really, really great solution.
Uh-huh.
But simultaneously, we organized a nice competition in one of the well-known conferences. We provided also enough training data, well-selected training data, so covering the field in a nice way. And when I saw then the first results, I knew, okay, that's really a success. That will change the scene.
Tell me about your motivation for doing this. What is your motivation? What gets you what gets you up in the morning to keep on doing this every day?
Yeah, it's really the fascination of historical documents. To be able to extract the information from all kinds of historical documents.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for 10 years at the university library, and there I mainly I was responsible for digitization and so on. And there we had to do with books, but of course books, that's a limited domain, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's because a book has to be published. Then Google Books already did a lot of the job for published books in Europe. But with archives, it's different. In archives, you have such a lot of different documents of different domains of so many interesting information. Yeah. And that's always fascinating. If I look at an old historical document, I'm always fascinated about what is it about. Yeah. And my personal motivation is to make this available to the researchers who are really able to do their research on the content of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where is this?
I'm more looking at the structure and all these things, and want to make it available. And I'm fascinated by what can be found in there. But I'm not the historian or someone else who really is an expert in this kind.
Where is this industry going to go in the next 5 years? How do you predict it will develop? Would it develop at the same kind of rate? Or now with the rise of artificial intelligence, even more so, will it kind of expand to allow you to be able to do more, quicker, more precise work?
I was talking about two milestones. So introduction of the internet, the introduction of AI, supervised learning in our case. And the third milestone, which is really happening now, is of course introduction of self-supervised methods of transformer models and of course GPT-4. The presentation in February was really mind-blowing. And it was for us, of course, interesting to see that one of the examples was a handwritten note, and that this handwritten note was then somehow translated into real code. So we knew it's able to read handwriting as well. So, and we can see now, we are testing this, of course, that it does really a great job for structured documents, and it's unbelievable, really. So it's really the third milestone. It, of course, has troubles. It is dependent on data as well, and for historical handwriting, it does not a good job. So we are still much better than GPT-4 in this domain. But of course, for general documents, it's unbelievable.
Do you see any other kind of technologies coming through which will help you more than AI in the next coming years?
Maybe. I would, maybe a year ago, I would have been a bit more optimistic, and my answer would have been robotics.
Uh-huh.
We run a little project here at the university where we try to use robotics for digitization.
Mm-hmm.
So real standard robots, and of course robots are also developing very fast, and with the abilities of transformer models and vision models or multimodal models, they will come into everyday life the same as AI is now doing. So this goes hand in hand, and taking into account that there is a need for workers in many domains, and especially if you think on digitization, this is still something which is done manually. Yeah, people are turning the page. If you go to a museum and you want to digitize museum objects, people also will put it to a turntable and press the button for the camera and so on. All the heritage cannot be digitized just with doing this manually. So not can be manually, but on the long run, you will need robots. So that's something I'm convinced. But of course, again, let's see. I would say the real milestone is not reached so far, but will probably come in a few years.
Tell me more about the Austrian way of doing things. This is the first time I've had someone from Austria on the show. Tell me, what is the kind of Austrian way of working? What is the Austrian personality in terms of working?
It's hard, of course, not to follow cliches, but as a small country, have a big brother. So that's Germany. So our relation is a bit comparable to Canada and US. We take benefit of this bigger market, of course. That's definitely the case. We are sometimes, I would say, a bit more innovative and not so structured. And innovation is often a bit connected with, not being so clear and allowing a bit more, I would say. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Tell me, there's one question which I always ask our speakers on the show. And this last one I want to give to you, because obviously what you're doing is extremely interesting for discovering the past and obviously for the future as well. Tell me, what do you want your personal legacy to be?
Well, this is actually this cooperative which we founded in 2019. So that's really the nucleus of my work, which I did the last 20 years, which I did intensively the last 10 years. And I'm really happy that I was able and also supported by the university that we have not set up a usual limited liability company, but that we really have set up a European cooperative society. So it is clear that so we were one of the first ones in Europe, and I think the second one in Austria. So, but of course, as you know, there are many cooperatives around, more in other fields like agriculture, or bank domain, or other or housing. But in our domain, cooperatives are not that usual, and especially for spin-offs, it's not. I think we were the first spin-off. Austria definitive, which set up a cooperative, and probably one of the first ones also in Germany or in Europe. And I think I really have the feeling every day this was a good decision, a fair decision. We got a lot of money, public money. We can give something back, but on the other hand, we are obliged to make profit. So we are a for-profit company. So we are on the market. We have no excuse. Yeah, we have to earn the money, and but on the other hand, it gives also public institutions the chance to become co-owner of a company which is doing a service which is hopefully interesting and useful for them.
It sounds amazing, and I think it's fascinating what you're doing as well, discovering the past for the present, for the future as well. So it's really, really amazing. And thank you for coming on the show today and letting us pick your brain and everything that you're doing in the world of the digitization. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.